Hello you guys and welcome back. It has been quite a while since I've uploaded, but I thought I would do a bit of a different video today because I've had quite a few messages and comments and different things on my TikTok and Instagram, and even a few here on YouTube from my revert story video about how did I revert and what is your tips for someone who is going to revert, and you know, all of the questions surrounding that. So I've quickly wrote down a few things. I have 5 topics that I'm going to focus on specifically, but yeah, I thought I would just write down a few things. And obviously I am not perfect. I am still very much learning a lot of things, but there's a few things that definitely helped me in the beginning, and even still now, you have to remind yourself of these things pretty often. So let's jump in, and hopefully these tips can help you as well. So the first one that I would 100% say is understand the basics first. Don't dive straight into all the complex things. Understand the basics. Those being, know about the 5 pillars of Islam, what they are, how you can achieve them, complete them. Know them first. Then also learn about all of the prophets, what their message is, and obviously the last prophet, Muhammad, peace be upon him. Also learn about him and his teachings as well. The Quran obviously is a major one to focus on. I mean, everything that you need to know is written down for you. I will get to the Quran later on in this video, but that is 100% one that I would say, get a Quran, read it. If you don't understand something, then ask someone more in depth or research that on your own as well. But Quran is one that I would say definitely have that when you're first starting. The other one is how to pray. Obviously, prayer is a very large part of Islam. We have to pray 5 times a day. So knowing how to pray and even just learning how to pray can take some time. It is not in English. So learning the translations, what it means, what you have to do at each time of prayer, that is another one that I would say very much focus on first. Once you have those 4 things kind of down, then you can go ahead and research further into different aspects and teachings of Islam and everything regarding that. But I think knowing those 4 pretty vital points first is 100% something that you need to do before jumping into the deep end and researching a lot more in-depth things. The second point I have is finding a good support network or support group. This is extremely important in my opinion, because when you're reverting, especially if you're the only one in your family or the only one in your friend group, having a outside support group or network, or however you want to describe it, is extremely important, so you don't feel like you're alone on this journey. Because at some points it can feel like you are the only person in the world learning this, and you are, especially if you're struggling or you can't pick up points, you don't want to feel alone. You need to have a very good support group that is surrounding you, that you can go to whenever you have questions or whenever you're feeling like, I'm stuck and I don't know what step I need to take next. Having a support group is perfect. A lot of local mosques, especially here in Sydney, I found a lot of local mosques have like revert support groups or revert network groups. These groups are amazing to join. I am in one actually, and they do meetups and catch-ups and lunch and dinners and different events almost once or twice a month. Like, they meet up pretty often. So I think definitely, and like, it's all girls in this group. There is obviously male groups as well. However, I don't know about those because it's not something that I need to research. But definitely finding a support group, even in your local mosque, is so beneficial. Or if you have friends who are also Muslim, ask them for advice as well. I'm sure they will be more than happy to help you. Or even like in my case, my husband is already Muslim. So if I have any questions, anything that I'm like, hey, I've read about this, but I don't really understand, can you explain it a little bit further for me? He's always there to give me an answer. But sometimes you need like that external person that's not in your household as well. So I have my revert support group. We're in a big group on WhatsApp. I have my husband, some of my friends from high school are Muslim. So I have quite a few people that I can bounce off if I need that extra help or guidance. But having a support group is very beneficial. One that is not commonly spoken about, but I think it's a really big issue, and even like Muslims that have been like Muslim from birth and haven't like reverted years down the track, I feel like they also struggle with this, but understanding the difference between culture and religion. So they are two different things, and I feel like a lot of people just follow the culture because that's what they've been brought up on, but it doesn't necessarily align with Islam and it's not correct in Islam. So I think you need to, maybe if you have married into a family or your own culture even, you can be like, well, this is done in my culture, but culture is not religion. They are two different things and they don't necessarily align. So maybe something is correct in your culture, but if you're a Muslim, it's not Islamically correct. So I think understanding that difference and understanding that you should do something Islamically correct rather than culturally correct, because at the end of the day, culture isn't going to save you. On the day of judgment, your religion will. The fourth point I have is something I spoke about earlier, the Quran. Getting a good English translation of the Quran. Obviously, if you don't read Arabic, you will need to have an English translation, or even if not English, find a good translation for your language from the Quran. Find one that's like reputable, not one that's just like randomly on the internet. Find an actual proper translation. This helps in so many ways because obviously you can then read it in English or whatever language that you need, and that sometimes the translation is a little bit off, but if you don't understand something or you want more clarification on something, get even just a book like this. Just write down whatever you need to write down. If you learned something and thought, oh, that's interesting, I would like to research further on that, write it down. If you found something and read it and gone, I don't really understand what that means or how does that connect or whatever like that, write it down and bring that to your local community groups or your local mosque and ask them, hey, I've read the Quran, I read this point, but I don't quite understand what it's telling me. Can you please teach me what that means? And you will find a lot of people will just sit with you and just explain to you the meanings of what it actually means and how that relates in the circumstance of what it's saying, if that makes sense. Also, if you don't understand something and you can't get to your mosque or you can't go somewhere, just Google it. There is so many reputable, is that even a word? I think so. There's so many good sources on Google as well from a lot of scholars and people who have studied the Quran for years and years and years. And a lot of them have translations and understandings and teachings and everything on a website where you can put in what you didn't understand, say, explain this to me in a different way, and it will all be there. So that's another really good thing. Just write down everything that you've learned or you don't understand or something that you want to research further. Write it down in a book, keep reading over the Quran and see if as you read further, all of the things kind of line up and make sense. If not, Google it, go to a local mosque. There are so many options that you can do, especially these days. Everything's just kind of at your fingertips. Everything's right there. You can search things really easily. Last point that I have, and I cannot stress this enough, is be patient with yourself. When you're learning, do not rush things. Nothing happens overnight. It takes time to understand. When you're learning a whole new religion from scratch, it's not just going to pop in your memory overnight. It's not something that you can just read once and be like, okay, I've learned it, that's it, carry on. It takes time, and I cannot stress enough, don't put pressure on yourself to know everything straight away. If you're learning from the very, very basics of Islam to the more complex side of things and understanding like the real depths of Islam, it's not going to happen in a month. It's not going to happen in a week. It can take years for people to learn things. I know even Muslim people who have been Muslim since birth are still learning new things every day, and they've been Muslim for 20 years and they've been brought up learning all of these things, but they're still learning new things every single day. So do not be hard on yourself when you're learning. If you're a girl and you're planning on wearing the hijab, don't straight away dive into it. Start dressing more modestly. Then slowly start wearing the hijab, because if you go from zero to 100, you're just gonna shock yourself, and then when you're having a hard day, you're just gonna feel like giving up. So just take your time, don't rush, be patient on yourself. And if it takes you 5 weeks to understand one term, it takes 5 weeks. Everyone learns at different rates, everybody learns differently. So obviously do whatever you need to do to learn, but do not be hard on yourself, because I promise you that if you just jump right in and you have so much pressure on yourself that I'm going to learn everything in 6 months, let's say, when that 6 months comes and you're like, I haven't learned everything that I thought I was going to learn, I give up. No, be patient, it takes time, and don't worry, there's plenty of people out there around you to support you, so just take your time. Okay, so that is everything that I had written down, my 5 points. I feel like they're just really good basic starting points. Like, learn all of your basic things, don't be hard on yourself, get a good Quran with a translation that you need, write down things, go find a support group. They're just like really simple starting points that sometimes people need to just like push them to take the step and start learning. But yes, the main thing that I want everyone to know is do not be hard on yourself, because I promise you, if you set these unrealistic expectations, you're just going to disappoint yourself. So just be patient, learn things as you need to, learn things as you go. Take a topic and learn that at one time. Don't take like all of the topics and learn it all together. Take a topic at a time. You will learn eventually. Don't be hard on yourself. There's plenty of support around you and plenty of support networks that you can reach out to that will help you, whether you just feel like you're drowning in all of this information or you just want a few extra friends to help support you. There's plenty of people out there. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you want more like this, I do have more points, but I just wanted the very, very basics for this video. 5 simple things you can do to help yourself learn and be patient on yourself was my main focus of this video. But yes, if there is anything else, please do let me know. I can make more videos. However, I am about to be 37 weeks pregnant, so don't expect too many videos to be coming out, because surprisingly I still have a lot of breath, but I just don't have a lot of time. So I hope you enjoyed. I will see you guys again soon. Hopefully it won't be so long between my uploads. But yes, thank you guys so much for watching.